There was once a writer who specialized in writing thought-provoking articles on a variety of topics. Through hard work and seemingly endless creativity, he managed to publish numerous works that fascinated his readers. But one day he found himself in a creative slump and finding no inspiration for his next writing endeavor. He pondered on different topics, but none of them interested him. He didn't bother. He searched through the bookshelves and searched on the internet, but it didn't work. A feeling of panic filled him because he was afraid that he had run out of ideas or become a victim of writer's block. But after taking a deep breath, he made a conscious choice to let this matter go for a while and turned his attention to other pursuits. Strangely enough, he came to mind. Wandering in a quiet forest with no intention of coming up with a topic or thinking about his writing dreams, an idea unexpectedly came to his mind. So when he stopped trying so hard, he realized that what he was looking for emerged effortlessly. The writer experienced an interesting paradox. He wanted to be productive, but the more he tried, the less he could do. But he was able to write again when he took off his shoulders the tremendous pressure of the need to stop caring and be productive. That is, trying does not always give us what we want. Moreover, these things can also work against us. What is happening here? The writer Aldous Huxley first defined the law of counterproductive effect with these words. The harder one tries with the conscious will to do something, the less successful we become. So, can we increase our chances of success when we consciously stop trying to be successful? Will results come when we stop caring? The law of negative affect, also known as the law of reverse effort, is examined in this video. Long ago in ancient China, a merchant listened to a sage, one of the wisest men. The merchant was trying to impress the wise man by telling him how much money he had made in a recent trade deal. The wise man showed the merchant some of his goods and asked him why he was trying so hard to impress him. As the merchant did not understand the question, the wise man reminded him of Lao Tzu's words, "He who tries to outshine others dims his own light." Be honest with yourself. They do not know how wrong they are. Those who boast of their achievements minimize what they have done. We have been taught that success is the result of effort, but in many areas of life, effort can be counterproductive. The merchant sought the approval of the sage, but the more he tried, the less effect it had. The sage reminded us that the more we try to impose our achievements on others, the less we achieve. Why do we feel the need to constantly remind others? People show off as much as possible. They are skeptical of those who try to prove themselves. Are they trying to make up for something? It seems they need to convince the world of their own worth. Paradoxically, the more we feel we are worth to the world, the less the world thinks we are worth. If the merchant had not been so keen to impress, it would probably have been obvious that his success was his own. He could have let it speak for itself. In such a situation, this wise man would be more effective not only because of his achievements, but also because his lack of need to boast says something about the merchant's character. He is humble and secure in himself. He is also somewhat detached from external objects such as wealth and status. This is where the law of cause and effect comes into play. By placing too much importance on the opinions of the wise, he sabotaged the results he wanted. The law of negative effects seems to be at work in our mental health as well. We often find that we hinder ourselves when we try to control mental states. Professor David Clark writes in his blog, The Runaway Mind, excessive effort prevents us from overcoming emotional distress. For example, suppose you are choking under the pressure of an exam or a job interview. In that case, you keep telling yourself that you have to do your best, and you feel the intense pressure. With great effort and determination, you put all your attention and energy into your performance, and you stand out. But then disaster strikes. You ruin it all, you screw up, and have one of the most embarrassing moments of your life. According to Clark, The mental control paradox also applies to overcoming emotional distress. For example, trying too hard to stop negative thinking often backfires and increases the negativity. When we fall into the trap of the mental control paradox, the more we try to control our thinking, we come to realize that we're not that good at it. This corresponds to the law of counterproductive action, which says that the more we try to do, the worse the outcome. Clark talks about scientific research showing that people are not so good at creating thoughts, but the law of counterproductive action seems to work the other way around. Referring to the story at the beginning of this video, he refers to the flow of creativity and mental control most of the time. Although human beings are masters at the generation of ideas, it is often useless to force ourselves to come up with a creative solution, an idea, or an inspiration to move our creative efforts forward. The harder we strive, the less successful we are. In her book, The Artist's Way, multi-talented artist and teacher Julia Cameron wrote that rather than allowing our ideas to grow organically, we often try to push, pull, condense, and control them. Creativity is a process. Surrender, not control. The mystery is at the heart of creativity. This and surprise are often experienced as our creativity unfolds at times. For example, when relaxing in the shower, in the woods, when walking, and just before going to bed, when I no longer care. The ancient Taoist text Zhang tells the story of a frustrated archer who shot perfectly in training but failed to perform when competing for the prize in a tournament. It shows how placing too much emphasis on the result works against us. No matter what we do, we worry too much about the result. We often feel tense. Even if we are capable of performing the task perfectly, there is a sense of urgency. Our mind is occupied with the future and may even be stuck in the past. The more we worry about the task and its consequences, the more we may believe that the more control we have, the greater our chances of success. But the opposite is true. The more we worry and the more we try to be in control, the more our performance is likely to suffer. This is where the law of negative effects comes in. The more you worry about achieving, the more likely it is that you will escape. We worry too much, we are likely to push ourselves in ways that hinder our progress. The ancients understood how people could get in the way of trying to achieve something. They advocated effortless action rather than pushing too hard. The sports scientist Christopher Berglund wrote in an article in Psychology Today that the state of optimal performance, also known as the zone, is at odds with what we strive for. He explains how it came to be. It may seem counterintuitive, but a no-striving mentality, also known as WWE, increases an athlete's chances of getting on the field, performing effortlessly and winning. Wayne's paradox: trying less, trying harder to win at all costs, often more. When we examine the mental state of effortless action, or being in the zone that brings great success, we discover that a lack of discursive thoughts about the past and the future characterizes this state of being or doing. Wu-wei is likely to lead to consequences. However, these consequences are not the primary focus. The desired consequences may be at the back of our minds, but our attention is fully on the task at hand. The task has no sense of being a task at all. The pianist's piece of music becomes a novel, the footballer's a game. Performance is not affected by these thoughts when there are no worries about future success or deep thoughts about past failures. When we stop worrying, we can say that results come. As a result of caring about the result, the mental and physical barriers we have created for ourselves disappear. They no longer stand in the way of pure and sensitive action in the present, an action that interacts effortlessly with the conditions of the present. For example, to drive a car, we have to be sensitive to our environment. Everything that happens in the environment is unique and specific to that moment. Of course, there are patterns and generalizations, But when we examine the details of what is happening on a particular highway, the cars, the people in those cars, their actions, thoughts, and reactions, a unique, unprecedented symphony that we cannot cognitively predict. We can only rely on our driving skills and our ability to respond well to whatever is happening, but our mind creates detailed predictions. And then we tend to try to control the future by constantly rehearsing these fantasies and our reactions to them. But when the moment comes for which we have been preparing, we find that our detailed plans have become quite useless. Moreover, all these thoughts and mental preparations prevent us from responding to what is happening. Only when we let go of this thought firewall do we create space for the environment to influence us, allowing us to respond to what is happening rather than what we have imagined. Dr. Wyan Chung emphasizes the importance of openness in the context of WW, saying that whether we are talking about politics, governance, diplomacy, or anything else, what rich W's are talking about is the inner clarity that openness brings. Whether we take the paradox of mental control or the Taoist concept, these concepts show how our thoughts can get in the way obstacles conform to this law of counterproductive effect. By releasing our anxiety about the outcome, we increase the likelihood of achieving the desired result. Results do not come about simply by focusing on them or wishing for them strongly. Paradoxically, the more we focus on desired outcomes, the less likely we are to act in ways that contribute to achieving them. Over-anxiety is like the archer's trembling in the story of Zhang Xin. It is like a footballer missing a penalty or a writer not being able to write. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please go to the channel you subscribe to, like it, and share it with someone you know.